Welcome back to the Weepy Hour.
Part two.
Part dos. Where were we? So, Dean and Heaven having a beer. It's almost perfect. Bobby says he'll be along. Obviously, Dean is saying that it's not quite perfect because Sam isn't here.
So he sees baby.
Which, because baby didn't die.
But it's Dean's heaven.
It's Dean's heaven. And so, also, it's a car.
So Bobby's like, oh, what are you going to do now? He looks up, he's like, sees baby. Pristine baby.
Yep. I'm going to go for a drive.
So he's walking and you see the bar behind him. And again, 3 Sheeps Brewing.
Yeah. Apparently, they sell 3 Sheeps Brewing in heaven. Must be a good beer.
Well, and remember, in the last episode, they were in that bar, and they had the not Leinenkugels.
Magenkugels or whatever.
Yeah, but there was 3 Sheeps Brewing. I'm like, that's a real thing, right?
And we never looked it up.
No.
I thought it was, but... So, he hops in the car, turns it on, flips on the radio, and what comes on? Carry On, My Wayward Son. Dean says, love this song. And it occurred to me, for as much as we've heard that song in the show, did it ever come on the stereo?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. It was only ever played during the flashbacks.
Then and now.
And then, of course...
the musical episode.
In the musical episode.
So that was probably a little nod to the musical episode then.
Sure, but also there's another.
I don't know that it was that version though.
We'll get there. We keep saying that. We'll get there. But we will, I think. We'll see if we forget. So, Dean's driving down the road, just living his life, just driving what he loves
Listening to the original version of the song.
Yes, the proper version. And it's intercut with flashes back to Sam's life. Cut to Sam walking a little boy along in a playground. He's wearing some overalls with Dean written across the chest. Clearly he named his son Dean. You cut back to Dean driving, just still driving, because again, time is different here. Cut back to Sam. Looks a little bit older. He's got glasses now.
Well, no, he's playing catch with his son, and you see the wife in the background.
Blurred out.
And it was really good casting because from far away, it could have been Eileen. But I think if it was Eileen, they would have brought that actress back. And I like the ambiguity.
I like the ambiguity.
Because that part isn't important.
No, it's not. What's important is Sam lived a life after Dean.
He had a wife, and he had a son, and the important part of it isn't who his wife was. It was his relationship with his son. Yeah. And you see the progression, little boy in a playground.
And he says to his son, Albus Severus Potter, you are named after blah, blah, blah. I'm kidding. I have to undercut. That's what I do.
And then, playing catch with his son.
Yeah.
With Dean. Helping his son with his homework.
Looking a little older at that point.
A little bit.
And his son's aging.
And then, because his son is in high school at that point. And then, it lost me just a tiny bit because they had to age Sam. And they didn't want to bring in another actor. You can't bring in another actor. But the aging and makeup was a little
and we missed that call. We said we're not going to see an aged Sam and Dean. We did. It wasn't great. But the emotion hit.
The emotion hit. Yeah. He goes into the garage or into his shed or whatever and unveils baby and sits in the driver's seat. And, you get a little taken out because of the aging makeup. Whatever. They did. That's like one tiny weak spot.
Yeah.
In what was a fantastic and beautiful send-off.
It really was.
But we'll get there.
It's not their fault that it's impossible to make Jared Padalecki look older than 25.
Well, no, I mean, the dude looks like he's in his 30s. Compared to, like, first few seasons,
we just watched the pilot.
Yeah, no.
Okay, he looked like he went from
Dean
17
doesn't look like he aged at all.
I think Alicia would disagree with that. When we first started watching Supernatural, Alicia was like, oh, man, Jensen Ackles, whew. I'm like, I mean, he still looks like that now. She's like, nah, not like season 1. Like, she sees it.
She never watched the show, though. No. I don't think he aged at all. Maybe a few crow's eyes. But
a few crow's eyes.
Crow lines. That's
crow's feet.
Yes, that's the one.
And he stopped gelling his hair.
Yeah. Anyway.
We're off track a bit.
A little bit. So, you got Sam sitting in the car. Flashback to having Dean driving around.
So, he keeps aging, keeps getting intercut with Dean driving. It's implied that not a lot of time is passing in heaven as Sam ages. And then we get Sam in home hospice care.
With all the pictures.
All the pictures, including John and Mary.
With the beautiful miracle they had with their parents. So it was...
that final meal.
Yeah.
So, he's surrounded by all this. He's at home. And young Dean...
His son, Dean.
His son walks up. And he's clearly struggling. Because he knows. And, Sam's trying to talk to him, and his son, Dean, says, "It's okay. You can go." Mirroring the conversation that Sam had with Dean, his brother. So, Dean parks on a bridge, gets out.
Kind of reminiscent of the first episode.
The bridge from the pilot, yeah, oddly enough. And I was waiting to see if it was the same bridge. It wasn't, but that's okay.
It's okay. I like the very, very subtle callback.
Yeah. So he just stands by the side of the bridge and looks out over the river and is just taking it all in. And he gets a little smirk on his face. And as the camera starts panning, he says, "Hey, Sammy." Behind him is Sam, back in his 30, 40?
30s, late 30s.
Year-old Dottie.
Yeah, Jared Padalecki isn't 40 yet. Dean is, or Jensen Ackles is, but...
And we get the choral version of Carry On. Which I think...
thought when it first started, I thought it was the version from the musical. No, what they did was still beautiful. I would have preferred if they had taken the recording from the musical episode and used that.
So it wasn't the recording from the musical episode, but it was the same composition. it was the same piece. It was just wasn't the same performance. So I think it was still that. It was still a callback to the musical episode because it was the same composition. It was.
They should have used the... I'm just saying, like, that's my one little... My second other little nitpicky thing is they should have used the exact... recording from the musical episode. But...
It's fair.
That's a very, very minor thing.
Yeah.
So... You know, it ends kind of Lord of the Rings-ish, you know, the river, they're at peace now.
I have written here, damn it, I wasn't supposed to cry. I don't know why I wrote that. And the hug. Their hug. So, when they hugged, Dean grasped Sam, and Sam kind of was a little bit startled, and then, because it was two different takes on it. Dean's been waiting longer, or Sam's been waiting a long time. For Dean, it was so short, it was just seeing his brother again. Hey, there you are, you know. And for Sam, it was this moment of shock because he's lived a good, 30 to 40 years without Dean. And he saw him, and then Dean just grasped him. Because it was just yesterday that he saw him. It was just, hey, there's my brother. And Sam was just almost in shock. Oh my gosh, it's Dean. And so he had that moment of hesitation. And then it was very subtle acting, but it was beautiful.
I have to say, this was... I'm trying to catalog through all of the shows that I've watched through to the end. And as much jumping the shark and weird shit that this show has put us through, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think this was probably the best series finale I have ever seen of any show.
And let's get through our notes real quick.
Oh, there's more? Okay.
There's two inconsequential notes. One says, no chick flick moments. It was the end of the pilot. They had done their mission. And,
well, they hadn't even yet. They had just gotten to the hotel room, and Dean was all dirty from falling in the river.
Right.
And Sam was like, hey, you know what I said about mom and dad? Dean's like, nah, no chick flick moments.
No chick flick moments. So, I'm not going to say it was a callback, but it was a nice completion of their relationship building. And one last meta moment. So, the episode actually ends with the actors addressing the audience. And it was a part of the episode. It wasn't... Because there's a little... It looks like there's a different episode, a kind of a farewell thing.
A road so far or something like that.
Yeah, it's marked as a separate episode on the website as a special. And clearly it's probably just actors and creators and everything kind
like
of a
goodbye, clip show
you,
sort of thing.
Whatever, yeah. This was part of the episode, like the finale.
And they are talking directly to you. Like, Jared Padalecki locked eyes with me.
Yes, with you specifically.
Specifically.
I felt like
I
a
would have
third
preferred
wheel.
Jensen Ackles, but what?
Wait, what?
What did you say?
I said I felt like a third wheel. Yeah, so actually built into the episode is the actors addressing the audience and saying thank you and everything like that, because
It's after 15 years
15 years, this
of
show...
a show that should not have gone on for 15 years. For 15 seasons, whatever.
No, this was such a weird show to have lasted... I mean, how many shows did it beat? Like...
There's very few shows. It's up there with the longest running shows. And the thing is...
Top 5, maybe top 3.
At least top 10.
Doctor Who doesn't count. No, Doctor Who does not count.
Oh, because there was the break?
The several breaks.
Okay.
And BBC.
Okay.
I think, MASH was up there, right?
I think MASH is up there with, like, the best series finales, but...
And then there's Simpsons, which has the record for longest animated show.
And it's still going.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. For as long as it's gone on, they still ended it on their own terms.
Yeah.
There was no... As far as I know, there was no call for it to be canceled. Like, it would... If CW had its way, it'd probably still be going. Yeah. It was the creators and the actors and everyone just saying...
Guys.
It has to end.
Yeah.
But it has to end good. It has to end on our terms. And it did.
Yeah. And it ended... more or less, it fit with our predictions in a reasonably well way. Dean being the one that dies, Sam living out his life.
And I'm low-key glad that my prediction of, Dean becoming Death or whatever, I'm really glad that didn't come to pass, because what we saw was beautiful.
It was closure on a level that I haven't seen in a show in a long time.
If ever.
Buffy didn't have that level of closure.
No.
Buffy had a lot of closure, but not that level of closure.
New Girl had good closure.
New Girl had good closure.
But it didn't have that longevity that...
Right.
How
I Met Your Mother...
There's a lot of... I think it ended well. You think it ended well? Right? Yeah.
I'm not on your level, but I'm with you.
Are we going to be in a fight? That's a hill I will die on.
I don't have a problem with Ted ending up with Robin. I have a problem with the level of focus they put on Robin and Barney's marriage working and then erasing it in one episode.
It was never going to work.
This is not
this
moment.
Yeah.
Anyway, but those arguments aside, the closure was there. It had the fast forward. It had the happy ending. It had all those things. That was a high level of closure. Whether or not you whether or not you agreed with the ending, it was closure. And that's what we're talking about here.
Oh, here's another good pilot episode callback. Dean kind of derisively telling Sam, "Oh, you want the American pie or the apple pie life, the wife and the kids and whatever. That's not who you are, blah blah blah."
Did they have that conversation?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll accept that.
And Sam got that.
He did.
Maybe not with the woman he ever expected. A woman we don't even know.
Right. And we got...
Presumably.
The show had a few Sam's happily ever after kind of moments.
And Dean happily ever after kind of moments.
Yeah.
Lisa and Ben.
Lisa and Ben, and Sam had one because Dean was in... How long was Dean in hell?
A summer.
A summer. Well, according to Samuel, it was a good year.
That was Sam.
Well, no, there was Sam without a soul while Dean was in hell, right?
I don't remember.
Anyway, there were episodes that showed Sam kind of living out his life a bit without Dean.
But it was all Chuck.
Yeah, that was all Chuck.
None of it was real.
Yeah.
He got his real life. And, oh, man. But I'm sorry. Who gets overalls with their kid's name embroidered on it? That was just kind of like, this is Dean.
Have emotions, audience.
But,
look, it's Dean. He named him Dean. Feels sad.
So, anyway,
get Isaac overalls with Isaac written on them now.
Please don't. No, please don't. So, I want to feel upset or cheated that we didn't get Jack and Cass appearances, or Mary and John and Rufus and Charlie. Did I say Charlie already?
No.
Yeah.
Jody
and Donna. Like, you know.
Well, Donna got a shout out.
She got a shout out.
Which is weird given that all those other characters didn't.
Yeah. But honestly, I love the simplicity.
Yeah.
Sam and Dean and Bobby.
You leave it up. Leave the rest up to the audience because that's the best way to do it. Let them have their reality of what happened.
And
My take, Jody was alive.
Yeah. They were all alive. And
Cass is okay.
Clearly, they mentioned that he's okay, that he helped Jack create. Oh. Because Bobby meant, when Dean was talking to Bobby in heaven, you know, Cass came up. Bobby said Cass helped.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that.
So do you remember when Jack's mom, I can't remember her name.
I remember her, Ben and Julie, but yeah, I remember her. Yeah.
You know, they were all freaking out because she was pregnant with Lucifer's baby.
Right.
And Cass grabbed her hand and had a vision and said, "It's beautiful."
Yeah. I do.
That was it.
Oh, man. Add that to the rewatch list.
That was it. And Cass knew that he was going to help.
If you want to bring the Trinity back in, Jack, the Son, and Cass, the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
They do like to tug at some theology every now and again. I like it. So, yeah.
So, going back to my original point, the very sentimental part of me wanted all, like, you know, the real Scrubs finale.
Right.
JD walking down the hall and you know,
seeing everyone's ending.
Yeah, and like, you know, everyone is there, like the chick that died from rabies and Dr. Crazy or Hooch, and
Hooch is crazy.
Like all of that, like that. On one level, you wanted that, and as I remember, you know, watching this last episode, Bobby brought up Cass and Jack, and I'm like, we're gonna see them, right? It's the last episode. We have to see them. But I'm not disappointed that we didn't. And I think it's because I was a little bit informed by that article I sent you where it's focused on
Sam and Dean.
And Bobby.
But it was their story. And
they did their thing.
They did their thing. They left it up to the audience imagination, but they cut a pretty clear path as far as what happened with everyone.
Yeah, and it's not that I needed closure on everyone.
You wanted to see their face.
Yeah, but I'm okay with not seeing them.
Yeah. You didn't need to.
And
you got that they're okay.
And that is why I think this is probably one of the best series finales I've ever seen. Because it hit you with gut emotions that you knew were going to be coming, but it still hit you in such a way that you still weren't really prepared for it. And they didn't throw in, because it would have been, there were very minor nitpicks that I had about this episode, and one of them was the Sam aging thing. They had to do it, though. So, as much as it sort of brought me out a little bit, it was still as well done as they could do. And if they had done this whole, like, you know, walking down the white light and everyone that they had ever helped, like, that's on one level that's what I wanted, but seeing the reality of this, it's like, no. If they had done that, it would have gone overboard with the cheesy. It was beautiful in its simplicity. For as complicated as the show has been. And the thing is, they did that in the last episode, which is why we were so confused. And which is why it actually works so beautifully. And they didn't actually bring any of them back. They just played little clips from their past episodes.
Yeah.
I am so happy with the ending of this show. I don't think I've ever seen anything that can even compare to that.
Yeah, I'm very satisfied. I can't even mourn Dean. I mean, I do, but he did his job. And Dean, he wasn't prepared to live a life without the job. He died doing what he was meant to do.
And Sam clearly did not keep up with the job.
Right. Yeah. Nor was he meant to. And they established that from day one. It was all as it was meant to be.
And they did it in such a beautiful way.
It was sad when Dean died.
It was sad when Sam died.
It was sad when Sam died. For a different reason. But
because we've all been there.
Right. But when Dean died, you didn't quite have that, oh, but he could have...
No.
No.
Because he had said from from very, very early on, hunters die young. Sam did what he needed to do.
But he had different aspirations.
He always did.
And Dean didn't. It's okay. You know? Oh, it was beautiful. They were willing to pull the trigger on killing off one of the brothers young. And I respect that a lot.
Young.
Well, okay.
42, I mean...
Okay, but... Sam still had a full life ahead of him.
And he lived it.
And he lived it. He had a son. He had a wife. He had a life.
And...
That was never going to be a thing for Dean.
But, that mirroring... It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feels.
All the feels. Well done. Applaud to the show. Applaud to the creators, the writers.
Well, it got a little weird.
You had some speed bumps.
For sure.
Leviathans. Come on now.
But as far as last episodes go, in my opinion, the best I've ever seen. I can't speak to, like, the best ever because I haven't watched enough shows, oddly enough.
Yet.
But definitely the best finale I have ever seen. It got me in the feels.
Yep.
So.
That. We're probably not done with our rewatches necessarily.
No, probably not. But it's going to hit different.
It's going to hit different. I might need a little time. But yeah.
Next up, Mandalorian Season 2.
Yes. With that,